You guys do trick-or-treating over there on Halloween?
Yeah. We live somewhere that people drive to our estate to come
We used to do that.
trick-or-treating.
Yep, we used to do that.
Yeah, we're the place everyone comes to around us. So it's crazy.
We used to be the people that drove to the other place because our houses were like cheapy, and we went to the place with better candy.
I think in the UK we don't decorate as much. Like it's not as big of a thing, but because we live on an estate it's like 10 years old, and it's still being built, so it's got kind of a different demographic from the average house. So it's mainly like people with young kids.
Yeah, that's cool. So, that's kind of how we are right now. We have a lot of families, so it was fun last night just giving out the candy because obviously Mallory's does her thing with her friends now, and Paige obviously is in Chicago. So
Benjamin loves it. He was the Mandalorian last night.
Oh, nice! Did he have a little baby Yoda?
Oh, he did in a little satchel.
Well, yeah, a little. I always call it like a little egg or whatever it is. Yeah, a little satchel. That is so cool. Okay, so hello to everybody who is joining us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Twitch, wherever you're watching. We are joined by Kate over in the UK, where it is super late, so we're going to get cracking and talking about her trip. Triple split stay with a trip to space in the middle, which is pretty awesome. You can't do it anymore. So
very sad.
It's gonna be fun. All right, so we're gonna get cracking. This will be for Monday. Let me jot down the show number so I can remember that. Need to get a new marker. This thing's got a weird tip on it. 2, 3, 8, 4, Kate. UK. No holidays on Monday, I don't think. We'll be back on standard time on Monday. I got to remember that because every show, right after we do the time switch, it always comes out at the wrong time.
We switched on Sunday just gone, so we've just switched,
and that was messing me up because I followed this Twitter account that does like a countdown to like all these things for the rest of the year, like to Thanksgiving Day, to the first day of winter, to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and it kept saying so many days till daylight savings time ends, and I'm like, that's not right. It was out of Europe. I was like, because I kept telling my wife, I'm like, do we change time this Saturday? Because I was talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, it's awesome. We do it over wine and dine race weekend. And I'm like, you're right. Because I remember I was down there one time and I had to get on the bus at 2:30 and like the clocks change at like 2:30. So I was like, oh my God, like when do I get on the bus? Like the clock is changing literally as I'm getting up. Like, do I get on the bus now? Do I get on the bus an hour? Am I an hour late? Am I an hour early? I was so screwed up because like I was down there by myself. Like I didn't have my wife to ask. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, I'm just going out there. If I'm early, I'm early. If there's no bus, I'll just hang out for an hour, like at the corral. But so for us, you guys, that was the whole thing. I was like, either this account's wrong, and I don't think they are. I'm one of those people like, it's on the internet, it's gotta be true. And then I was like, oh my God, this guy's in the UK.
That makes sense then.
I
know there's always 1 week of the year where it's like I can actually be awake still when you're recording. Oh. So it's the other one. It's not this one. It's the other one.
Yep. I'm just glad to get an hour extra sleep Saturday night. God bless. And if Mizzou would, because we have the big football game Saturday against the number 1 team in the country, and if we could win, that'd just be another night, 1 extra hour of a happy dream. So let's. Well, it ain't gonna happen, but if it does, it'll be glorious. That's all I can say. So here we go. All right, so 2, 3, 8, 4. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 2384 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. And hey, for all of our friends here in the United States, you got an extra hour to that weekend. So bonus. How about that? I mean, everybody always wishes for 3-day weekends. I mean, you take what you can get. You got an extra hour in this one. So hopefully you got an extra hour of sleep and it was awesome. I don't know if I did or not, but we'll see because we record this one early, but it's a glorious time to fall back into an extra hour of slumber. But we are going to have a great start to this week because we have a very special guest across the pond. We're going to be talking with listener Kate over in the UK about a triple split stay. And right in the middle, we're going to head to space where you can't go anymore. Well, we'll tell you about it in just a second. Kate, thanks for staying up late with us today. How's it going?
It's good. Yeah. We've actually had good weather today, which makes a change.
Now, see, every time I talk to somebody from the UK, they're always talking about how bad the weather is. So, it's like in Seattle or London or, anywhere in the UK. It's like, is it like a tourism thing? You just don't want people to visit? I don't know.
At this time of year, it's just rain, just loads and loads of rain. We actually had a really bad storm a couple of weeks ago. Oh, not even that long ago. And our neighbouring village got flooded and there were several hundred homes evacuated. So we've had really bad wet rain. We had bad rain on our Florida trip, obviously, but not quite as well set up to cater for it here.
Florida's made for rain. You know what I'm saying? It's basically a swamp, but we got cool stuff there too. So we'll say my dad's got over there a few times with the NFL because he works for one of the football teams. And when they go over and play, they're not playing there this year. So he's staying here in the States, but he's enjoyed his time over there. But like I tell my good friend Malcolm, who lives over there, it's a shame because my dad is the pickiest eater in the world. So he just goes to the McDonald's in the UK and still orders his, cheeseburgers with mustard only. Like, and he doesn't even get fish and chips or anything. Like it's such a crime against humanity. He goes over there and just orders McDonald's every meal.
Fish and chips would be better.
I wish I could have fish and chips in Epcot right now. But anyway, it's Monday. Even if it's Monday morning when you listen to the show at 5 a.m, I would still have fish and chips right now.
I mean, fish and chips is reserved really for Friday night.
Well, Friday night, Monday morning on the trip, I don't care. I'll eat it anytime. Just like Taco Bell, 24/7, bring it on. Okay, so anyway, we're going to talk about your trip because we got to get into this. We got so much to talk about. But first, give us some background on your Disney fandom, especially from the perspective of somebody from the UK. How does that happen? How do you get drawn to a place like Walt Disney World and the Disney fandom?
So I've always loved Disney films growing up. It was whatever was on the TV. I have really strong memories of watching Robin Hood with all the random animals. When me and my husband first got together, I remember telling him, I really want to go to Disney World. I've always wanted to go to Disney World. We, used to see all the adverts on TV for it. And he was like, yeah, we'll go. So this was our 16th wedding anniversary while we were out there. This was our first trip. We've actually been together for 20 something years. But
that sounds almost exactly the same amount of years as my wife and I, and we're still trying to get to Hawaii, which Scott beat us last month, but we're going to get there. We're working on it still.
So I think because he said we weren't going to any of the other Disney parks, it had to be Florida. He'd been when he was a similar age to Benjamin when we went, but also when he was a teenager. So he'd been a couple of times, but not since. So yeah, it was just kind of like I'd always wanted to go.
So how do you make that connection over in the UK? Because obviously in the States, it's a fabric kind of, it's something that we see on TV. Like today, as I'm working in the office, I've seen probably 6 or 7 commercials for Walt Disney World. I mean, there's a commercial right now they're running for Epcot specifically, just the Epcot park. It's just got, basically it's almost like something somebody would shoot for social media with a pop song in the background showing Ratatouille. It shows the ice cream shop in France. It shows the fireworks, just stuff you could do around Epcot. Is it as prevalent for folks to be exposed to Walt Disney World and the Disney destinations in general over in the UK?
I don't think it's I actually spent a year living in upstate New York, so I kind of know how much it's like everywhere. It's not quite so everywhere, but like certainly growing up, there were only like 4 or 5 channels. So there were 4 channels, and then they added a 5th channel. Like cable wasn't as prevalent when I was a kid, so we never had cable. We just had those 4 or 5 channels, and there were definitely adverts, but it was like one, like every year there'd be one really short advert, but it would always be the kid in the fairy dress or whatever, and it was just everybody wanted to go. It was all about the magic. So I think it's just embedded in. And then obviously as you get older, and then you've got things like the Pixar stuff. So Pixar was massive when I was at university, so watching all the Pixar films. And then when they built Toy Story Land, it was like, we've got to go see Toy Story Land. So like, I think I was the most excited about all of us going.
Absolutely. Did you guys get stuff like the Christmas Day parade over there? Do you guys see that on Christmas Day, or no, you don't get to see that? What a shame.
No, so there's not really any of the park stuff until Disney Plus came out.
Okay.
There wasn't really any of the park stuff. It was just these adverts. But it is because we are quite a big market. So outside of obviously the domestic market, the UK market is quite a big market for Disney World specifically. Yep. And they always offer really good deals, and the deals have kind of gone they're not as good as they were.
Don't feel bad. They're doing it to us too.
But I mean, I know we talked before our trip, so we got a 14-day ticket that included park hoppers, it included the memory maker, it included all of that in our tickets. But this trip was originally booked pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. So we've been basically 5 years in planning this trip, and we were originally booked in with free dining.
Free dining. I mean, we haven't said those words in a long time, and that used to be all I heard for years.
Yeah, so that went with COVID and hasn't come back yet. But then there isn't a dining plan now, or there wasn't a dining plan until obviously January coming. So I think like there's a lot of people who have kind of gone, I'm not going back until that comes back. And we just went, we're not waiting that long. I've waited like this many years. I'm not waiting anymore.
I agree. I mean, you just got to go. I mean, some people, it's like even with computers, right? Some people are like, I'm not going to buy a new computer or a new phone, like I got to have the latest and greatest. But I mean, there's always going to be the next upgrade. There's always going to be, possibly something better on the horizon. But you got to go, you got to have the experience. You got to enjoy it today if you can, because it's there. So that's a great perspective though. Disney Plus, though, I'm glad it's bringing kind of all those things to you guys, and it's just interesting because I haven't got to travel internationally and obviously never lived internationally, but that's just cool to have that perspective because it is all around us. It's in our culture, and it sounds like it kind of is for y'all over there, but not quite as much. But I want to dive into this trip because you guys got so much. So obviously you guys travel so far, you're going to make it worth your while. You guys stayed while you were down here. It was you and your husband and Benjamin. How old was Benjamin on this trip, just so people can have perspective? 7. Okay, and I'm going to try to tag a little message from Benjamin because we're recording super late. Benjamin was going to try to be on the show, and he's like my guy. Like I've got to communicate with Benjamin. He's really cool, great Disney fan. So shout out to Benjamin. I'm going to try to put him in here at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. But you guys did Star Cruiser, and I want to talk about that because RIP Star Cruiser never got to meet you, even though I'm a Star Wars fan. But you kind of bookended that, or kind of put that right in the middle of a stay at Caribbean Beach for 7 nights and a stay at Beach Club for 6 nights.
Yeah.
So holy cow, what a vacation.
Yeah.
So talk about just real quick about the planning of all this. I mean, putting that together, that had to have been an undertaking, just deciding like what resorts and how you're going to, Caribbean Beach first, Beach Club last, Star Cruiser in the middle. Give us some thought process on just like how you decided to land on this trip.
So we were really torn. Our original holiday it was fully booked. We were going to be staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge 2 weeks in April, May 2020. So we were like weeks. We had all our ADRs, all our fast passes, everything booked. Obviously that then went, but one of the reasons we'd picked that hotel was because it came with free dining, and it was the standard dining plan. So then when we were starting to look again, the Star Cruiser had opened, and it wasn't open for our original dates. So we were like, right, well, if we do the Star Cruiser, we don't want to be worrying about flights. We don't want to be worrying about like if we get delayed by a couple of days. We want to have gotten over the jet lag. So we don't really want to do it right at the start of the holiday. And then reading around it, some of the people that had been on it were saying, don't do it as the last thing because you'll be just absolutely devastated getting off the Star Cruiser. So then
I got to stop you there for a second, because you're doing all the exact things I tell everybody getting on the Disney Fantasy, the Disney Dream, the Disney Magic, the Disney One. You are doing everything. You're like, don't make sure you're there on time in case you get delayed on your flight and you don't want to just get off the ship and go home. It's sad. It's magic. You're killing me with this.
It is exactly that, though. And I think it's like,
you're saying everything I tell everybody on the ships.
Yeah, it's good advice. That's why. I think when you've got, especially when you've got like an 8-hour flight,
right?
And the flight home's a red eye as well, with a 7-year-old who's never been on a long haul flight, and a 40-something-year-old who is terrible at sitting still for any length of time. I think we just knew it needed to kind of be in the middle, and then it was a case of kind of getting the balance right, because there was some perks with doing the package for the first part of the holiday through Disney Direct from the UK site, because we did get some extra perks. We got stuff we didn't use, we got stuff we did, so we got some dining credit and stuff. So we're like, well, so we do about a week. If we do about a week, and then we'll work out what day, because obviously they didn't make it easy to book the Star Cruiser, which is probably one of the reasons it was a failure, in that, like, from the UK you couldn't actually see the dates and availability at all.
There was a lot to booking Star Cruiser.
Yeah,
it was. I mean, because it was a very personal experience. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, I understand why there was a lot to it, but it was intense.
But yeah, even the web page wasn't actually available outside of the US.
Interesting.
So you had to use a VPN to get to the web page.
Oh my gosh, that's part of the experience. It's like,
and then obviously
you're a rebel spy breaking in.
Yeah, and then obviously calling up from the UK and knowing that they were going to be like really long. So I used a VoIP phone, so I didn't have to pay for the phone calls and stuff.
Welcome to my world, Kate.
Yeah. So yeah, we were like, right. So we picked the date, and then we were like that, and then I started having a kind of a look and seeing what kind of availability and what kind of prices were for the second week. And I knew I wanted to stay deluxe. And kind of when we were originally booking it, the Star Cruiser, I didn't really want to do the Star Cruiser. I was like, if you really, really have to, we'll do it. But I really don't want to spend that much money on 2 nights. It's too much money for 2 nights. But if we're doing that for you, I want to stay at Beach Club. Oh, and I want to stay concierge.
Well, I mean, sounds like I'm just saying, just from a total just person outside this, everybody wins in this situation.
Yeah. So that's when we reached out to you so that you could book us our room only accommodation with the kind of really the more flexible booking. So we booked with you for 7 nights to include the nights we were on the Star Cruiser, so we could kind of
shave.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, so that if we decided a bit closer to the time we just couldn't afford to do both, we could drop the Star Cruiser. And then I think I emailed you and said, can we add another night on?
It happens more than you know. Yeah. with our audience, add-on-itis is a thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it was because it was when I came to book the flights, I was like, let's add another night on, because it wasn't going to cost us any more to fly home a day later. But that day later meant we had our entire wedding anniversary on site rather than being on a plane for it. So I figured you might as well, So
sitting in the middle seat with your hubs next to you.
That's not what happened. he was on a different row. It was me and Benjamin.
Send that in February. That'll be it. Is this romantic? It's long.
Yeah. So that's how we ended up in those hotels. I think part of the reason I wanted to do concierge was because they kick you off the Star Cruiser at 10. Like, no questions. There's no way of getting any later than 10.
Vader comes out and like you're force choke you. You're out of here.
And then we knew the flight home was at about 4 or 5 in the afternoon, so we knew we'd have a bit of time to kill at the other end. So having that concierge level, we knew we'd have somewhere to kind of hang out, get some food, chill, read books and stuff.
Kate,
when we didn't have a room.
I hang out in the lobby at Pop Century, but you were smarter. You did it way better
Well,
than
and
I did. I do it
so
like a
one of the other considerations is that myself and Benjamin are both neurodivergent, and we both struggle with overwhelm and
I get you.
overstimulation.
I understand. Oh, hey, I get it.
And so we were really
Walt
conscious of,
Disney World, that's a thing, you know, that's crazy down there.
yeah, well, we were really conscious that it was going to be overwhelming for us both anyway. So we were kind of trying to do things so our trip was not like when we talk about the rest of the trip, it wasn't like bam 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 rides. We weren't like trying to see how many rides we could fit in a day, or we weren't trying to do 4 parks in one day or anything like that. It was very much trying to manage those energy levels through the trip.
Smart.
Some of it also came from the planning, because me and so Adam just left it up to us, but me and Benjamin watched so many videos, and I wasn't allowed to listen to the podcast without Benjamin. So if you'd get in
I like it.
if you'd get in the car and I'd been listening without him because we'd got behind a little bit, and it came on, he'd be like, "What are you doing listening without me?"
Fist bump to Benjamin if he watches the video. Fist bump. There you
go. So we were listening and obviously got lots of tips from that. But yeah, it was definitely well planned, and then nothing went. No, we didn't do anything the way we expected to either. So
that's how it always goes. But having a plan though at least gives you mental kind of just the clarity and mental respite. You're going to be because if you don't have a plan, you're just constantly just in this disarray, like struggling, like, what are we going to do? Even if you don't follow the plan, if you have a plan, you feel comfortable. Okay, so let's do this. Let's kind of break it down into 3 chunks: the Caribbean Beach chunk, Galactic Star Cruiser, and then of course talk about the club level experience while you're over at Beach Club. So Caribbean Beach, while you were there for 7 days, you get there. I'd imagine travel was, it's long. It's from the UK. Did anything extraordinary happen coming over?
We had a horrendous flight.
Oh Lord.
It was it was only the last hour. Last half an hour. It was there was a mild storm. I don't know what it was like on the ground, but it was turbulent and it was a bumpy landing. And Benjamin said, "I'm never getting on a plane again."
Hey, I was about his age when I said that, man. I didn't fly again until I was in my 40s. So
we've told him he has to get on a plane next summer, because I'm not having that. I love traveling, and we are coming back to Disney World at some point.
Plus, it's really hard to drive from the UK. Yeah. I could drive. It took me 15 hours, but it's really difficult to drive from your guys' house.
And then we got a private. We'd organised a private transfer. And then they'd not got the right phone number, so then I was trying to ring them, but the eSIM that I'd got wasn't working. Anyway, we managed to finally get hold of them, find them, and then they had the right number for us for the return. Took us straight to the hotel, checked in. It was amazing. We got pixie dusted basically straight away because I couldn't get my phone to work, couldn't get onto Wi-Fi, couldn't do anything. We went to check in at the desk, so we hadn't done check-in in advance because they didn't want to do it before we got on the plane in case something went wrong. And we got crispy treats, we got badges. Benjamin sat and watched cartoons while they checked us in and went through everything. Absolutely brilliant. So one of the criticisms I hear a lot about Caribbean Beach is how big it is.
It's big.
And how you don't want to be in, I'm going to get this wrong now, Trinidad. We were in Trinidad, so
which is where the Little Mermaid rooms are going, by the way, right now.
So. Oh yeah, we were in one.
Okay, good. I was gonna say that. Now people are gonna want to be in Trinidad, and the closest to the Skyliner out there too.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's so far away. Everything's so far." Yes, it's hot, and maybe because we're British and we walk more anyway. It was like, I don't understand. It's not that far, but we ended up in a room. Newly refurbished, absolutely stunning room. Benjamin absolutely loved that there were 2 Murphy beds in the room. We didn't need 2 because there's only 3 of us, but yeah,
it's fun.
Exactly fun. And we were really near Spyglass Grill. We were near the quiet pool. The bus stop was just at the bottom of the stairs, so absolutely brilliant location because it was just straight across the bridge to the Skyliner, which was probably one of it was the reason we'd stayed at Caribbean Beach.
And those rooms are so much better than the pirate rooms. The pirate rooms were not. They were great to look at, but I stayed there for my first marathon in 2015, way back then. Big mistake. Those beds were so small, and the mattresses on those beds when they were pirate rooms was like a piece of loose leaf paper thick. I mean, they were terrible. And I was staying there for my first marathon. I had no business running 26 miles, and I really had no business sleeping on a paper, thin.
Yeah, they've kind of gone the opposite way now, though. The mattresses are like 5 foot tall. Like I am 5 foot tall, and I'm like climbing into bed.
Yeah, because people like me are like, "What are you trying to do to me, man? I'm not trying to sleep on the ground out here. Come on." And I do. Okay, so I want to make sure we get through. So give us some highlights of the chunk of the Caribbean beach stay. Good dining, times in the park. So I want to make sure we get everything in. It's gonna be kind of a challenge.
Sebastian's was definitely one of the highlights, and we went there on our first day. So we'd not booked, and we just got a walk up for Sebastian's, and it was just amazing. So I have some random allergies, so the chef was coming out to me, explaining everything, bringing out all the food with stickers on, and making separate food for Benjamin because he won't eat anything that's not chicken tenders or pizza.
He sounds like an American kid. He'd fit right in here in Missouri, I'm telling you.
And yeah, the food in there was amazing. So anybody that gets a chance to go to Sebastian's, you've got to go. It is amazing.
I agree.
I think the fact that we just took the pace. So we went to Animal Kingdom on our first park day, partly because that was the park Benjamin was most excited about. And we did just kind of chill. We didn't actually do any rides until about 10 o'clock in the morning. And we just and the first ride I think we did was Navi River, which was one of Benjamin's favorites. Having the DAS pass meant that we could just book something and then just wander around. So we did the Maharaja Trails, we did Nomad Lounge, which was good. I didn't like Disney Springs at all. Hated it, in fact.
Yeah, I kind of have a love and a hate relationship with Disney Springs. When it's crazy busy and I don't have I like going there to eat, but I like going there to eat when I know where I'm going. Like if I don't okay, I want to go to Splitsville and have this, or I want to go to Deluxe Burger, I want to go to Polite Pig. I'm cool with that. But if we're just going to hang out and if I hate to say this, my wife doesn't listen to the podcast, either do my daughters. If I go with my girls and they want to shop, I hate Disney Springs because we just wander and I hate shopping. So then it becomes like a shopping mall. But if I go there to go to a specific restaurant or something or to get ice cream, I like it because it's got really good options. But yeah, when I'm just wandering around, it feels like a shopping mall. Like when I'm with my girls, because I got to go in every store. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're at Walt Disney World. I could be doing something fun.
Yeah, I think that's half of what I was. I was like, this is just shopping. We did a lot of shopping throughout, and I think Scott might have said it as one of his tips for cooling down on one of the podcasts. And we would literally walk through any shop that we could walk through that had aircon in through the whole trip. But yeah, Disney Springs was just we went there once. We had to go to pick up some vouchers, and we went to T-Rex because that was again one of Benjamin's must-dos. So the next day we went to Magic Kingdom, and we did everything wrong because we arrived, I think it opened at 8:30 for resort guests, and we arrived at just before 9. And
kind of a little bit behind the wave there.
Yeah, but actually for us and for how we were doing things, it was perfect because as we walked down Main Street, we got to the hub at the top of Main Street just as they were starting the show.
Nice.
The welcome show.
Yep.
And Benjamin wouldn't have waited for that welcome show. Okay. If it hadn't already basically
right, he was going to sit there and be like, okay, this is going to happen in 15 minutes. Let's say
no.
Just okay, it's going to now, right there.
It has to be now. And it was the same with the parades. The only parades we saw throughout were the ones that happened to go past us when we were there. He wouldn't stand and wait for any of them. We did stand and wait for fireworks, but by that point in the night, it was normally pretty shattered. But yeah, we had lunch. We had brunch at Crystal Palace that day as well, which was amazing.
Do you guys kind of feel at home over there? I mean, it's kind of English, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it feels like British to me when I'm in there. Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
Like,
no, not really. I mean, waffles and pancakes at breakfast isn't very British. I mean, I love my waffles and pancakes for breakfast, but
I don't care where they're from. I destroy them. And by the way, Scott still has the record for the biggest ice cream at breakfast there. So
I can imagine. We specifically booked that brunch time because Benjamin was desperate to have the breakfast. And we were like, oh, no, we don't want breakfast. We want the lunch. So we'd booked that kind of crossover time so that we could kind of both get what we wanted. We met with Princess Tiana and Princess Rapunzel.
Nice.
And Benjamin got a bit starstruck. Rapunzel is his favourite princess. And so we were chatting away to Tiana, and he was really chatty and not like. And then we walked across like 2 yards to get to Rapunzel, and he just clammed up. Couldn't say a word.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, we found a couple of rides that Benjamin really liked. So Tomorrowland Speedway. In total on the trip, we went on it 7 times.
Well, we found who likes the Speedway.
Yeah, don't take that way.
But I mean, it's right. I've always said that. That's like right in that age is like wheelhouse, like because you just want to drive. Yeah.
And Winnie the Pooh, he really loved as well. I think we went on that 4 or 5 times over the holiday. Peter Pan, he screamed.
Okay.
He did not like Peter Pan. So yeah, we did go to Primo Piatto twice while we were at Caribbean Beach because obviously. So we had a tea and a breakfast there because the river's worth going to.
Yes, it is.
And we did some stuff.
That would be a long walk though from Trinidad. Like that's the opposite end. I mean, you guys walk a lot, but I mean that is kind of opposite ends there.
It is. But I think we did it. We got the resort bus on one of them.
Yeah, so you could take the bus. Yeah,
but it was like
take the Skyliner if you wanted. You could just jump on the Skyliner and do one hop right over to the river.
Well, we did have issues with the Skyliner because Benjamin was absolutely petrified of the Skyliner. So our first trip to Epcot, we had some issues with the Skyliner, and he screamed. He was really sad, but it was one of those really nice interactions with people because as we're on, because it was quite early, it was just before the park opened, so they were putting more than one person in one group into it. So we were chatting to a family that had literally we'd been there a few days and they'd just arrived and this was their first park day and we were having a chat and that interaction kind of distracted him and that was quite nice. Epcot, I expected to love Epcot more than I did. I think I came with the expectation that Epcot would be my favourite park.
Yeah, I would think so.
But it wasn't. And I did love it. And we did the Remy scavenger hunt. We did the Kid Cop passports. And we got all of them except Morocco because Morocco was closed for half the time. We did Garden Grill for breakfast, which, Living with the Land is definitely amongst the favoured rides. You'll be pleased to know. Not as favoured as the Seas with Nemo, though. Apparently, going around in clamshell things is good.
It is. Back in the day when they used to have the hydrolators and all that ride, that was even better. But that long time back, forever ago. But yeah, it is cool. I mean, yeah, I like it.
There's a little play area in the aquarium. Yep. We went there a few times. That went down very well. One of the things that we had so many little things of pixie dust through the holiday. But I think one of the best ones was we were at the America Kidcot station, having just done some pin trading. So obviously we did pin trading, obviously. Okay. And there was this guy, like normal member of the public, not a cast member. And Benjamin's pointing at him, going, "That's such a cool pin." Only a place in the world that you can get away with saying something like that and somebody not looking at you and going, "What are you talking
about?" Right.
And the guy goes, "Oh, you like it? Do you want to trade?" And it was a Grogu coming out of a pumpkin, and apparently it glowed in the dark. And his girlfriend had given it him on his first date.
Oh my gosh! His girlfriend didn't knock him out because
his girlfriend had a huge grin on her face. They obviously, because Benjamin was just so excited about it and so enthusiastic. And like,
it's gonna go one or two ways. Either the girlfriend was gonna be like, "You're the greatest guy ever because you're helping this kid's life," or "I'm about to kill you. I'm gonna knock you out if you give away that pin."
Yeah, no, it was clearly the favored. Yeah. So, and we did a day. We let Benjamin have a birthday day. So his birthday's in February, nowhere near when we were going. But he'd decided that he was going to celebrate his birthday on holiday. So we gave him one day, and he was in charge for the whole day. We spent a lot of time in the boneyard.
Yes, I've been there with Mallory forever in the boneyard, over at Animal Kingdom, the playground. Yes.
Yeah. And he had to have one of the Dino Bites cookie sandwiches, which is one of the pictures I sent through. And just his face when he had that. He had to obviously go back on Navi River because, again, that was one of his favorites. And then in the afternoon, we built some droids.
Nice. So you guys went over, because you hopped between the two parks, you went over the studios.
Yeah. So we'd gone back to the room for a bit in between, but it was one of the only days where we did two parks in one day. So we did the first, it was like Galaxy's Edge is just like, wow. We timed it. So Benjamin's had various obsessions over the years, and we timed it just perfectly because he'd just come into a Star Wars, particularly Star Wars Lego, but generally Star Wars massive obsession. So building the droids, he had to build an R4, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi's droid. And I built BB Kate.
That's perfect with your name. I like that.
Yeah.
Was it K and then a number 8? That'd be perfect. Yeah.
So that was his day, all just at his pace. We loved the safari as well. We didn't actually do fireworks until like day 6, because obviously coming from the UK, we were still kind of on early mornings.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because Scott was just talking about this, because obviously he had gone to Alani, right? And he was in Eastern time zone, went all the way out to Hawaii. And it affects people differently. Was jet lag a problem, especially for Benjamin and for you guys? Like, because you're kind of getting to it. Did you guys adjust immediately? Did it happen over time? How is that?
I think, well, that first day, we decided to stay up as late as we could, basically. So we'd only sat down for dinner at like 8:00 at night, bearing in mind that that's like gone midnight at home.
Yeah.
So Benjamin did actually fall asleep on me at dinner.
I could imagine. That'd be rough.
And that was one of the only times we used the resort buses, because we were like, I'm not walking him back from Old Port Royal. But I think it was worse when we got home than it was there. And I think because the pace of the days, because whilst we were like, we'll aim to get there around about rope drop if we can, but actually we're not trying to, because we weren't trying to get on every ride and maximize everything. We didn't really feel rushed, and we felt, because we had just over 2 weeks, we were like, well, we just go with the flow a bit more.
That's huge.
So the day that we had planned on doing the first fireworks, we didn't have anything on in the morning, and we just had a really relaxed day. Benjamin did your colouring that I think you've got somewhere.
Yes, I got hanging on the fridge.
And we went to the Grand Floridian for like lunch-ish, like late lunch. And then went into Magic Kingdom from there. But the photo pass photographer in the Grand Floridian was just brilliant. So so it's upstairs. The lobby was all being refurbished, so it was a little bit like you couldn't really see what was going on. But upstairs, at the top of the stairs, they've got Cinderella's glass slipper, and you can have your photos taken with it. And we'd walked in, and Benjamin had his ear defenders on, and he'd chosen what he was wearing, so he had socks and sandals as well, and like just was being him and was perfectly happy. And we were like, oh, do you want to take the ear defenders off for the photos? And he's like, I don't know, because he doesn't wear them all the time. And the photographer just said, no, it's part of him, it's part of his trip, let him leave them on.
Nice.
And the photos are just stunning. Like there's just one photo of just him on his own, not even with the slipper, and it just sums him up as a person, just chilling. He's got his eyes closed. It's just brilliant. And I think like the time that she gave us and stuff was just brilliant.
That photographer right there is capturing a moment and is paying attention. See, that's what I like. I mean, that's somebody that I don't know, maybe they worked in education and they know kids. You know what I'm saying? Like kids are just little people. They're little regular humans, and we're all unique, and we need to celebrate our we all have these, idiosyncrasies. Like let us be. And I do a lot of weird things. Just let me be. You know what? Take my picture with them.
So we really like that, and we used the monorail and the boat to go there and back. It rained in the afternoon, as it does, just as we were waiting to get on the boat. It was fine. We kind of went back and did some stuff in Magic Kingdom, and then we went back towards the hub, and we were like, oh wow, we've left it too late already. It's really busy already. This was like at least an hour before the fireworks. And then I saw one of the roped off areas. And I said, oh, is this a disability area? And they said, yes. And I basically explained our situation and said, if if we're not allowed in there, that's fine. But is it okay? And she was like, yeah, come in. So we went in and sat at the back of there. And then a family came up next to us with kids a little bit younger, but they were locals. And so we spent most of the next hour playing with glow sticks and chatting with them. And the time just flew because it was just nice and relaxed. You just sat on the floor. I did love the fireworks. Benjamin wasn't blown away by them, but I think because we were at the back of the group, he just couldn't see very much, and he was really tired still at that point. And then the bus was really full. Like we were the last ones on the bus. You know when they're cramming, they're like literally pushing you on the bus to get you on. So that was interesting. And then the next day we went to Hollywood Studios again. We had a really lazy morning, but then we had a nice evening. So we went and built some lightsabers, as you do.
Okay, I gotta ask everybody, where's your lightsaber right now? Where are they?
It is in the living room.
Is it hanging on the wall or something?
It isn't, not yet.
I mean,
we have plans.
You said Halloween. I mean, maybe you.
I know. Well, one of the lightsabers went out last night, but not one of the Savvy's ones because they're really heavy.
Okay, so, I'd be careful with it too. I mean, that thing.
Adam's got 3 lightsabers. Benjamin's now got 4 lightsabers.
Holy cow, you guys! If there's ever an apocalypse, you guys are safe. You guys, if there's ever a Sith revolution, it's go to your house.
But only two of them are Savvy's ones. So Adam's got some, I think it's Saber Forge ones, and they're much better for battling. So we all do martial arts as well. So he's got one that's like a bow staff. It's amazing.
In Kate's house. If there's ever trouble, just Kate's house.
Yeah, purple bow staff. So we went and made some lightsabers. And then we went and did sci-fi dining Fantasmic package. And there was an amazing greeter because we were waiting a while. So we went up to the thing and said, we're not actually due to come for an hour and a half for our dinner. Can you fit us in now? And she was like, yes, you might have to wait a few minutes. And then while we were waiting, she was doing a trivia quiz, which was really good fun, just like everyone having a guess. Sci-fi wasn't one of my favorite dining experiences. If you're a family of 3, it doesn't work.
Because of the car?
Yeah.
See, I just want to get in a car. I haven't been in that place in 10 years. I can't get in.
I want to, I want to get in a car, and that's cool, and the experience, but like one of you's the third wheel, one of you sat on your own.
We've always been a family of 3. Like it was my wife and myself and Paige, and now it's my wife, myself, and Mallory because Paige is. I know.
So it was a bit. And the thing is, our actual server was probably one of the least engaged servers as well. So that I think like when you've had all these amazing servers that can't do enough for you, and then you get one who's like, there's your drink, there's your food, oh, you're on a package, oh, that includes this, he felt rushed.
Yep.
But I'm glad we did the dining package, because then when we went to Fantasmic, we ended up smack bang in the middle, 4 rows back. I mean, we got wet. We did get lied to. I'd kind of guessed that would be the splash zone, but one of the people at the top was like, "No, only the first 2 rows get wet."
Well, at least it was August and not January.
I mean, I was like, "Yes, more water."
Could have been January. That's all I got.
And I think where Benjamin hadn't been mesmerized by the fireworks, he was completely blown away by Fantasmic.
I agree.
But he did say one of the funniest things he said probably on the whole holiday was he wondered where you were. Because he said, it's music.
Exactly. It's our music. It's, I mean, Disney just borrows it for exactly. Don't tell them. Nobody come after us for that, please.
Yeah. And I think you've probably heard this a million times since the Skyliner opened, but I was so glad to be at a Skyliner resort after coming out of Fantasmic.
Oh, amen. Yes.
Because
first time I was there the weekend it opened, and I just my jaw was just the entire weekend like this line goes so fast compared to buses.
Because like we came out and there was like the queues for the buses were insane. Because obviously, unlike I know that Magic Kingdom probably is like that. We always both times we watched the fireworks, we were there later, so we didn't get that crush. But the queue, you walked up to the queue and it looked like, oh, this is going to be ages. And then within 15 minutes, we were back at the hotel.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, because the line moves quick, and then as soon as you sit down in the Skyliner, it's literally especially for Caribbean Beach, I mean, especially the studios. I mean, it is literally 4 minutes.
I can tell you, it is 12 pylons.
12. I don't know. I say I've never counted the pylons, but there you go.
12 pylons from Hollywood Studios to Caribbean Beach.
Now you know.
It's something like 20 something to Epcot, which we're not allowed to do. So we didn't go to Epcot again when we were at Caribbean Beach because we were supposed to be. And we actually had way more dining booked than we ended up using. We ended up cancelling quite a few dining reservations because we just didn't have time.
He didn't like the Skyliner ride over there?
No, he hated it. He loved the ones Hollywood Studios, but he hated I think it's partly it was the turn. When you go past the river and then turn, he really didn't like it.
Something about that turn. I mean, but I mean, if you never ridden it, you're gonna be fine. I'm just saying it's a little 90-degree weird thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the Caribbean Beach part. So let's obviously the Halcyon not around anymore, so we can't have this experience. But give us just looking back on it, reflecting on it. What was the best part of this experience? If you could tell people, like, what did Disney do right in this whole Galactic Star Cruiser experience? What was done right?
I think from the second you get on, they did everything right.
Okay.
It's so immersive, but it's the attention to detail. It's like nobody ever mentions Disney. We were talking to one of the cast members after we got off, who was at our concierge, who was one of the previous Halcyon cast members, and she was saying like people would come up and say Disney, and she meant, oh, you mean the people that make the labels for in the shop? Because the only place Disney is labeled and Disney labels are in the shop.
Because it's a storyline, right?
Yeah,
you're not at Walt Disney World. No. You're on the Halcyon. Yeah. You're in this time and place in the story. Okay.
And they bring you into the story, and some of the cast. So I obviously am the kind of person who gets like throws themselves into stuff. So I'd throw myself into all the Facebook groups and everything. And I'd shared some stuff in a few of them about some of the bits of like the backstory that I'd written for myself. And one of the actors, one of the cast members, came up, started talking to us and like asking us some questions. And when he found out we were what planet we were from, but that we lived on Coruscant, he's like, "You're not Senator Stark, are you?" So he knew and from then on, for the rest of the weekend, he was introducing me to everyone as Senator Stark. If we were in a story arc where I was we were on the bridge at one point being attacked, and he's like, "You've got to get down. Nobody can see you, otherwise you'll not get re-election." Like, it was just like they were bringing you into the story. They weren't telling a story and you were around it. You were a part of it. And Adam even got a call out in like the finale and stuff as well. And it was just, and we made friends on there. Benjamin made friends on there. Like, awesome. It's just it was worth every penny. And that's having gone in as somebody who said, well, if you're doing that thing, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah, and like, I mean, 30 minutes ago, you said, I really don't want to do this, but it's going to be a compromise thing. We will. Okay, so I got to ask you this: Did BB Kate go on the cruise? I mean, did BB Kate get to go on any missions, or
no?
Ride around the Halcyon at all, or anything?
There was a race.
Okay.
And BB Kate and R4 did go and race. I don't really know what happened because I went for a nap at that point.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you're senator. I mean,
yeah.
Senator.
Well, it was after we'd been to Batu, you see. So it's like, I need to cool off a bit. It's a bit hot on Batu.
Exactly. It's like Mustafar, man. It's hot. it's no joke, man. You go down there and you end up in the lava. I've almost seen lava in Batu. It's burning up in July, August. And you were there too. So let me ask you. Okay, so I love to hear that. That was awesome thoughts. Okay, let me ask you this one more thing about that, then we'll kind of go to the back half of the trip. This is a great show. I appreciate you so much. But what, in your estimation, since you've been there and you said it was a great experience, because it sounds like Disney may bring this back at some point. They're kind of toying with it, right? It's sitting there. It's a physical piece of property. It's a building. They've done it, and people that have gone on it, everybody raves about it. Why did it fail in your estimation? Maybe it didn't even fail, but why is it not here anymore? I mean, was it just the price point, or is there anything else?
I don't think it was the price point.
Hey, what do you think?
It was marketing.
Marketing, okay.
I think people can justify spending thousands of pounds going to one concert or thousands of pounds going to the Super Bowl.
All right, it's like Taylor Swift or Super Bowl. Good point.
So it's not about the money. It's about the fact they didn't get the marketing right. Everybody was talking about it as a hotel, and no, I wouldn't have spent £5,000 on a hotel. But it wasn't. It was a role-playing experience. It was a full-on immersive experience. You couldn't have run it cheaper. They weren't pricing it at that because the market would allow them to. If anything, they were pricing it at the bottom end of what they could afford. Mm-hmm. And I think that the marketing went wrong because it just got slated because everybody was focusing on the cost because they didn't explain what it was.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense because it reminds me very much of, it's been 20 years at this point, but I spent some time working down at Space Camp in Alabama. And while kids would go down there and spend, and it's open year round. And while they have a place where the kids, you stay a week there, right? And you train like an astronaut, and this was like during the shuttle period where, things were a lot different with NASA and stuff like that. Shuttles were flying every, month or so. But the whole deal was you would go down there and you'd train like an astronaut for a week. So they marketed the thing as an experience, right? It wasn't that you stayed there. It wasn't about staying in they called them the Habs. There's really cool looking building. They looked like these big tubes, and you had bunks and it was really cool how the kids stayed in these things. And I taught the teachers. The teachers had a program for a week in the summer for professional development. That's where I taught. But the program for the kids, which is the meat and bones of Space Camp, it was an experience. But it boiled down to kind of the same thing, just a little like Star Cruiser, right? You went down, you stayed for 7 nights, you got your meals, you got a flight suit, when you went to Space Camp, but it was immersive. Like you were an astronaut as soon as you checked in, like they got you up early in the morning. You did physical workouts, you went to breakfast, you had a book you had to start memorizing, you had a mission, you had, all these things you did throughout the day. Kind of like that. That makes sense though, that instead of it being, because I always heard it, like it's the Star Wars Hotel. Wars Hotel. Maybe it was never the Star Wars Hotel. It was
it wasn't. Experience. There's no swimming pool, there's no spa, there's no gym.
There's no windows.
There's no windows. It's not a hotel.
Right. But I think it's like a lot of people though, have never had an experience anything like that. 95% of the population probably can't relate to. I can relate to that because of my experience at Space Camp. A few people had that, what I'm saying? So it's really hard to draw from anything. That makes sense though. So thanks for that perspective. I think it will come back at some point because I just think it's especially with Disney, like good ideas don't die. And I think that there is a market for it, and we'll see. We'll see.
I hope so.
I don't have any insider. They don't tell me anything, so don't read into this too much. So anyway, so after this, though, you guys don't go home. You go to Beach Club, stay concierge. Give us some highlights for this, because let me just tell you, even cheap old Mike has stayed club level at Beach Club, but only for one night, like 10 years ago. It was at the end of the trip. Our annual passes expired, and so we stayed one night. It was pretty sweet, though. I ate a lot of taffy, and Mallory ate a lot of taffy off the concierge guy's desk. That was and we stayed in the lounge and just ate all the little cordials.
Yeah.
A lot. So, but I'm sure it's changed a lot. So give us some highlights for this last 6 nights of your trip.
So I think the way we got welcomed in was just brilliant. I mean, the lobby in the beach club was also being refurbished while we were there, and that opened up while we were there, so which was quite nice to see the changes. So they were basically welcoming everyone in. Nobody was checking in at check-in desks because there weren't any. So they did the check-in downstairs and then took us upstairs. But the staff were just amazing on the concierge. They were like, you could talk to them for ages. They would bring you drinks. They would the food and drink it's not like loads, but like throughout the whole holiday, we were struggling to eat a full adult meal anyway. Mm-hmm. So especially towards the end of the holiday, like we went to Thule Canteen and shared and had kids meals because I wanted to try the cheeseburger pods.
My wife and I get the same way. You almost get kind of fooded out like on a longer Disney vacation because you just don't eat like that at home.
But it was we certainly, Benjamin ate his fair share of the goldfish gingerbread cinnamon biscuits that they had. He ate a lot of those. Sounds and he good. Like, just go and get them. I'm having another one. And yeah, we just kind of nibbled. We didn't like have loads of meals in there. But we did have breakfast there pretty much every day. And the coffee. It was the coffee machines in the rooms were rubbish, but the coffee in the lounge was nice, so that was good. Finally getting some good coffee.
I don't drink coffee, so I have no idea.
I drink really strong coffee, so I normally drink espresso. So the coffee and I was like putting 2 pods in, and it still didn't taste strong enough.
Every day.
Yeah. So I think the other thing that was quite significant in the second week, as well as the fact that we had concierge and we had storm along bay, was we also had a storm. So we were there when there was a hurricane.
I forgot about that.
And it's kind of funny because I know you've talked about it before, but the hurricane kind of made the week better. Because it skirted us, so we weren't in the middle of it, so it wasn't scary. And we'd made friends that were locals on the Halcyon, so they were like texting me and checking that we were happy and like, reassuring us, which was just so nice. And saying like that this wasn't going to be a bad storm and we'd be fine. And actually, the people that were evacuating were all coming to Disney. Mm-hmm. But because the weekend at the end was Labor Day, we were told that quite a few people had cancelled. So actually the number of people was dropping anyway. And then the rain also impacted what people did. And we already talked about the rain earlier. Yep. We're used to rain. Yep. We will go out in the rain. So we did get rained on. We did the Caring for Giants tour. And this was the day that the hurricane was due to kind of start coming over, the first of the rain. And we were like, well, stop that. We're still going to go out. We ended up going out slightly later than intended because I ended up having to get a doctor out in the morning.
I saw that.
Because my eye had swollen up really badly.
Stuff like that, random stuff pops up on vacation. Like, seriously, like, what's up with my eye? Why does this have to happen now? Why can't this happen at home?
Yeah, again, they looked after it really well. They sent me up the doctor, the medical concierge that they have. She gave me prescriptions, and then off we went to Animal Kingdom. We did shows that day, so we hadn't really done any of the shows before So we did like Lion King, which was amazing. We did the Big Blue. We did Navi River again. And we did the Caring for Giants. And then we finished off the Wilderness Explorer badges.
Nice.
And then just as we literally came to the exit, that's when the heavens opened. And it was like and from there we were going to Animal Kingdom Lodge rather than back to the hotel. So we arrived in Animal Kingdom Lodge just absolutely dripping. And it was actually Kidani that we went to that we got off the bus at, because I just said, I'm getting off the bus at the first, whichever one's first.
Yeah.
I just want to be, and me and Benjamin had got spare shoes and we'd got ponchos and stuff, so we weren't too bad. But Adam hadn't got spare shoes, so he was then in his soggy trainers all day. So we got greeted at the lounge, and they were like, "Oh, we're about to start an activity if you want to come and join." So we did an activity, one of the bead activities that they do for the kids, that was all about animal noises. That was fun. And then we walked to Sonar and said, "We've got a reservation." So you notice the theme here. "We've got a reservation. Can you fit us in a bit earlier?"
I've done, and that's a great tip though, because I do this often too. Like if you're running ahead of schedule, ask, and many times they'll let you in, because then what that does, it opens up a slot later on for somebody and they're like, "Yes," you're actually making somebody's day later on.
Yeah, and Sonar was one of the restaurants we were the most excited about, and I was really underwhelmed is probably the best word for it.
Really?
Yeah. It was lovely food, but I think, like, and this comes back because I'd lived in the States, and no, curry isn't something that's particularly as common, whereas you can't go 100 meters around me without finding a decent curry house. And we've got some absolutely awesome curry houses. And I used to work in the events field and used to do Indian weddings. So I kind of like, we were like eating the food. It's nice, but it wasn't anything special or different.
I just go for the bread service, honestly.
Yeah.
The bread.
So the bread service again. No, the bread service was nice, but I've had better bread services.
See, that's the only place I ever get it. So
but that's it's about what you're coming from, because we went to La Hacienda and other people will be like, "Oh, Mexicans, oh, it's not as good as like our Tex-Mex around the corner," but we don't have that many good Mexicans. So we went to La Hacienda and that was an amazing meal.
Oh, see, well, any Mexican food for me is great, but I have it 4 or 5 times a week. So hey.
Yeah. I mean, going to a Mexican restaurant with an avocado allergy is certainly an interesting experience.
Oh my gosh, I have so much guacamole, I'd be so dead. Right now, I've probably eaten 5 guacamoles since lunch.
Yeah. So there were a couple of our kind of and then for our anniversary meal, we went to Yachtsman.
Nice. I've still never been there. What'd you think of that?
It was really nice. Again, the service, they went and got us food from one of the other restaurants because Benjamin wouldn't eat anything on the menu. The wine was really nice. I had seafood and Adam had steak. Absolutely brilliant. But I think probably one of the biggest revelations of the second week for me personally was actually I do like roller coasters.
Really? Like, okay, which one?
So the biggest roller coaster I've ever been on prior to coming to Disney is probably about the size of Barnstormer.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me you did Guardians of the Galaxy on this trip. No, you did.
so we were
go all the way.
Yeah. So it was raining all day. We were in Epcot. It was raining all day, and so it was really quiet. And they still had Guardians things available. And I'm like, let's just do it. I said, I don't really know that I'm going to enjoy it, but I feel like
I had too when I went with my family in July. I was like, I'm not going to like this, but I'll go with my girls one more time. And so I officially said I don't like it, but
I was like, I'm not going to like it, but I feel like I've got to do it. And especially because I'd heard so many amazing things about the whole story before and stuff. And because Benjamin was tall enough to ride it, he could come all the way to the ride with us, which meant we could actually ride together, because there's like the little chicken door. He could just go through the chicken door and wait on the other side. So actually I could ride with Adam. And
it's not actually called the chicken door, it's called the smart choice door.
Yeah.
But we can call it whatever you want.
I mean, but it was like, I was like, oh, why am I doing this? I don't like things like this. Why am I even, why? And then and we got the Blondie song.
Blondie, One Way or Another.
Yeah, One Way or Another. And I absolutely loved it. And I was like, this is amazing. So guess what other ride we did while we were there?
I'm trying
Not
to
at
think.
Epcot. We went to Magic Kingdom for late night.
Tron, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we did Tron. We did have to do rider swap on that because Benjamin wasn't tall enough. So we had to do the normal rider swap. And that was amazing as well. And it's funny because everyone says it's really short. And like, it's like, you're like, is that it?
Yeah,
and then like, when your stomach's caught up with you, you're like, it's probably a good job it's only that short.
Exactly what I say. I said, yeah, it is kind of quick. Perfect, though. I'm good. I can get off now and go get my stuff out of the locker.
So we had, obviously, because we were deluxe, we had extra late magic hours for Epcot and for Magic Kingdom. We didn't end up using the Epcot ones because it rained all day. All the rides we wanted to do were pretty much walk-ons.
Nice.
We'd watched the fireworks the week before and they were all right, but they weren't worth staying for, I think. So we just decided to go back. So we didn't stay for the late night, but the Magic Kingdom one was the day after the storm. So it was still raining at 3:00 when we headed to Magic Kingdom. There was like nobody in the park because it was raining and there'd been a hurricane overnight.
Why are you going into the park? Okay.
Yeah, we just got on everything. We had our lobster rolls from Columbia Harbour House. We rode absolutely everything we wanted to ride. I think there was about 3 things we hadn't done. That we were like, we hadn't done the People Mover, we hadn't done the Carousel of Progress. So we'd booked to do the Tron during the extra magic hours. We knew it would take most of the time from the extra magic hours. So I think when the fireworks had finished, we actually had a randomly better view for Benjamin because we sat down near Tomorrowland on like the edge, and the fireworks are kind of like nowhere near the castle.
Yeah.
But we sat on the floor rather than standing up, and you could actually see all the projections onto the castle. He was way more interested in that than he had been in the actual fireworks. But then, yeah, we went and did Carousel of Progress. And Benjamin's like, why are we doing this? We have to do it once.
Absolutely. Came all this way. Got to see it.
And then we did Tron, and it was just amazing. But then we'd said, oh, we'll get stuff on the way out. We're not shopping now. We'll get stuff on the way out. And then by the time we left, the shops had all shut. And this was our last Magic Kingdom day. So we had tears at 1:00 in the morning because we hadn't bought a pressed penny.
Uh-oh.
So then our very, very last park day was a Magic Kingdom day again because of this pressed penny.
I was gonna say, because I'm looking at the notes, I'm like, you went back on a morning here on your last day.
Yeah, the last full day, we went to Magic Kingdom. It was early opening because it was a party night. So we walked in at 7:30, and we did Winnie the Pooh twice, Tomorrowland Speedway twice, while we waited for a dash for Snow White. Did the mine train, went and bought the pressed penny, and we're back at the hotel for 10.
But that's really, I mean, that's honestly probably one of your best days. I mean, one of those unexpected things ends up being a best, like it's an opportunity that you did not plan for, and like you end up having just the best day. Like I love that stuff. That's the best.
And I think like it's those little moments, isn't it? It's like when the laugh floor shut and we had to get evacuated out the front door, like the side door of the laugh floor, because the lights went out.
That's a weird one to get evacuated out of. Did the monster die, or like did Roz fire everybody for real? Like, what happened?
Well, there wasn't enough laughs. Because there wasn't enough people in the park because it was the day that the park was dead.
You British folks are mean. You will not laugh.
But no, honestly, because the lights went out and then they came back on. And then they went out, and we'd been in the queue for like, it wasn't busy, but because it's obviously a, like the show.
Yeah.
So we were in the pre-show. We hadn't even got into the show. And then the lights went out again. And again, and there was only like 10 of us in the queue or something as well.
That's rough.
So it was, I mean, it's a good show, but
I do like this show. I don't go to it enough. When I do, every time I do, I'm like, I love that show. It's hilarious. Like, 'cause it's totally my humor. Like, I love stuff like that. I think it's stuff Disney does just the best. Okay, let me ask you a few things, because we are like way over it. I just want to get this in. I know like you're up super late, but you mentioned you guys were over at Beach Club. Did you guys get to enjoy? I know the weather was rough with the hurricane and stuff and all the rain, but did you get to enjoy Storm Along Bay a little bit? I hope.
Yeah, we did, and the storm. Like there was a couple of days where you couldn't swim, but most of the time we were there was part of the day that you could, and it's a great pool, and the lazy river's fab. We didn't do the slides at all. I think Benjamin did the baby slide, but not interested in that kind of stuff anyway, and just I mean, it does have the disadvantage of having all the sand. Like
sand?
Yeah, the sand.
And person. See, look at that. You're back to your Star Wars story. You must be from Tatooine. All the sand and all the
I mean, could have done without the sand, but no, it's a really nice pool. And I think it's just like, I can see why people would stay at that hotel just for the pool.
Did you get ice cream at Beaches and Cream at any point? I don't know if I saw that.
We did. We didn't go in. We did have a reservation to go in, and the intention had been to get the kitchen sink. But that was one of the reservations that I was like, there is no way I can eat any more food, not that much food. Yep. So during the hurricane, when the swimming pool was shut, and basically when everything was shut, we went to Beaches and Cream walk up thing and got a mini, well, it was a Mickey's mini kitchen sink.
Oh man, I would pay $25 for a No Way Jose right now.
But it's one of those where, like, even that, like, we barely finished that between the three of us, so there's no way we'd have ever got.
Hey, I'm not, no shame in your game. I'm not blaming. I mean,
well, no, but I mean, I can't understand how people can eat that much food.
I am not shaming you at all. You got to go to Beaches and Cream, went to the walk-up window and got a mini kitchen sink. God bless you. I mean,
and Benjamin went to the arcade as well.
Like souvenir.
Yeah, we've got it. It's downstairs. Yeah.
Let's see. I always want one of those, but I always get a No Way Jose. I love those.
No, I think we strategically packed. So we packed all of our cases only half full.
Nice. I've had to
coming home was still tough. We were definitely squishing things to get them in, because we got a Pumba popcorn bucket and a Timon sipper. We got a light up sipper from Hollywood Studios. We came home with empty bottles of the Coke and the Sprite from Star Wars, from Galaxies, like and obviously 2 lightsabers, 2 droids.
And you guys were TSA loved you guys when you guys went through. Like, man, we got Rebels, we got Jedi, we have popcorn buckets, we got everything. But I mean, you got to imagine if you're TSA in Orlando, you see everything, because you see wands from Universal. Yeah. It's like they see all kinds of stuff, I'm sure. Anyway, so we got to wrap this, but let me ask a couple questions here on the back end. So the 2 things. Is there anything you would have changed about this trip, kind of reflecting back on it a few months out? Like, was there anything that you wish you would have done better, or advice you would give somebody that's maybe coming from the UK that has 2 weeks to spend? I mean, it sounds like you really did it right, though. I mean, this sounds like just like almost a once in a lifetime type trip.
Well, I think that's the problem. I think we planned it as a once in a lifetime trip, and the second I was on the plane, I'm like, when can we go back?
All my guests at the Magic for Less were like, Yeah, that once in a lifetime trip. Can we go again?
I think like plan to bring lots home, definitely. But I think as well, it's like just because everybody says you have to do it a certain way, everybody says you have to get up at rope drop and then do this and then do that. There will be a way that works for you as a family, and it might not be the one that everybody else does. And I think like the first day, I think I'd been like, right, we've got to get there for rope drop so that we can get in the queue for this. We'll do this or do that. And Benjamin was just like, I'm just looking at everything. This is amazing. I want to go to Dino Land. Can we go look at the dinosaurs? Can we go look at the dinosaurs? And so we ended up going to a bit of the park that basically wasn't open.
Right.
And just wandering and soaking it all in. And I'm so glad that we did, because if we hadn't, I think it would have been such a different trip, because by the end of the first day, we'd realized that actually it wasn't the rides, because it was never the rides that we wanted.
That is so true. That is so true. It's the overall experience. It's the atmosphere. It's the fellow guests. It's the cast members. It's the swimming pool. It's the hotel room. It's the transportation. It's
the Mickey pretzel.
Exactly. Oh, no way, Jose. I mean, it's everything. That you said it so well. Okay. Last question. Disney calls you tomorrow on the phone. They're like, "Hey, Kate, what's going on? We're doing a commercial. We're gonna show it Christmas UK. What's your one memory from your 2-week trip you took in August? Like, tell us one quick story that we can share on the commercial. Like, you got to take one takeaway, one snapshot from this trip. What would it be? Like, what's that snapshot they would put in the commercial?
I think they wouldn't use it, but I think it would be.
You never know. These days, anybody uses anything. I'm just saying.
Well, because it would be Star Cruiser based, so it would be Benjamin with Gaia. So Gaia was the artist performing the songs on the Star Cruiser. And again, he got, because we'd been listening to the music non-stop before we came. And then she came and literally sat next to him and started talking to him. And he's just looking at her going, "You're real. You're real." Like, you could just see his face going. And because she'd performed the night before, so it wasn't like she was just talking to him before. He'd seen her perform, and then the next day she was sat next to him. And I think awesome. Like it's those moments that you can't get anywhere else.
That's truly, the magic is real. I mean, that's the magic personified. The magic's come to life. That's it. Okay, I know it's super late over there, but wow,
it's tomorrow.
I mean, it's tomorrow. Exactly. Yeah. Thursday for you. But I guess we record this on Wednesdays here in the States. But wow, thank you so much for taking the time, staying up late with us. And it's a great way to start another week. And please tell Benjamin, I'm sorry we had to record late just because of my schedule, but we're going to try to tag this little message they left for me here on the end of the show. And hope you guys have a great holiday season here as we move into that. And I can't wait to run into you guys down at Walt Disney World sometime. It would be a treat. And it's just such magic you brought to the show. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me on.
All right. Don't forget our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out. We'd love to help you plan a great Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney vacation this week. Don't forget 2025 cruises, not to space, but actually on the ocean, have been released for early 2025. They'll help you plan one of those. So check it out over at themagicforless.com. We're also using our Amazon affiliate link this holiday season as you shop. Please click through our link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons who make all these shows possible. It's patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. When you sign up there for just $5 a month, it's like a cup of coffee a month. You get our bonus show every single week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. Just all about fun stuff about growing up here in the Midwest, all my stories. So come on over, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give me a follow on the social media. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on Twitter /X, Instagram, and Threads. And Sunday night, Scott joins me and we open up the phone lines and take your calls at 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And we talk Disney with you. So give us a call this Sunday night and join us live. All right, we're going to jump out of here and wish you a great week. Thanks, as always, for downloading or streaming the show. And if you don't mind and you have a few minutes this week, we would love a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, wherever you download the show. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you so much for that. So for Kate over in the UK, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All right, that was awesome. That was super long, but I was not stopping it because that was a great show. That was
Sorry,
no,
I'm
hey,
not very
no,
good at being concise.
no, because I was like, that was just too good to stop. So everybody's getting bonus content on Monday. So I love it. I'm saving it for a loser. So I'm going to cut you loose so you can get to bed. But tell Benjamin I'm going to try to tag that on there and tell him I appreciate him so much. That's so kind.
He will be very excited. I probably won't tell him. I'll just let him listen.
Okay, that sounds good. And have him shoot me a message.
Yeah, but
All
thank
right,
you.
have a good one. All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right.
See you later.
Bye.
Three, 44, 1.